Just taking it live. There we go, we're live, everybody. So welcome. John Lavinia's Success Mastermind session, 22nd of February. Believe it or not, today it's 22/2/22, which we should note down. Anyway, good to see everybody. Everyone's dialing in. Lovely to see you, and I hope everyone's having a fantastic week. I was going to pick up on a topic from where we left off last time. Give everyone a chance to dial in while I'm waiting just to launch here. EVA's on tonight, don't forget that. Corporate Curios, 5 o'clock Eastern Time US tonight. Brilliant EVA, who's a fantastic speaker with her Corporate Curios session about corporate life, all aspects of teamwork, management, personal relationships. Fantastic sessions. That is still 10 p.m. in the UK until the clocks change. Remembering that they're going to change fairly soon, and there'll be a week, I think, where the clocks are out of phase and the hour changes between the UK and the US. So that's coming up. Anyway, I will start off and recap if anyone dials in late, if I may. So in the daily sessions, we try and look at practical issues that really have an impact on our personal success. That's what this is all about, as well as sharing our ideas and our thoughts in terms of how we can help each other from the things that have happened to us, from our own experience. So in our last few sessions, you might remember, we discussed, first of all, the problem of turning dreams into reality and crossing what I described as that hard and arid desert of the laborious work that's required when we actually start to work on our dreams. In other words, the dream is born and then we decide to work on it. That's when things get tough. Give me slightly dry throat there. So we also discussed consciousness and mindfulness after discussing how we cross that tipping point for acting on our dream and doing something about it. And I was discussing there the need to be in the moment, in the now, and the danger of being stuck in the was rather than the now, being stuck in the past. And in order to be effective and to succeed, we talked about the fact you really have to be able to focus 100% in the now and get on with the task at hand and not let things from the past or thoughts or negative feelings from the past or baggage or conditioning from the past crowd in. Now, as a third aspect of this, I wanted to talk again about networks, because we've talked about that before, and this is vital to us getting forward. Our network as an entrepreneur is our marketplace. And yes, I am going to talk today from the point of view of an entrepreneur. I know some of what we'll say applies equally to personal issues, but today we're talking as entrepreneurs in a group. Our marketplace is our network, and that is the difference. That's what makes an entrepreneur. Creating a network and creating value from that network is the difference between being an employee, being paid by somebody else, and then trading off your own network and making value for yourself. It is all about that network, and the more effective your network, the more impact and scale your business is going to have. So if you create a huge and stable network, your chances of scaling up are much increased, obviously, because you have followers, what they call a tribe. We've talked about the tribe before, and I ran a session on customer value proposition, where we talked about how to get people to identify with what you're doing and explain to them what it means and what it's about, so they start to follow you. This wonderful jargon tribe is used, but literally you create your own tribe of followers who then take an interest in what you're doing. This all relates back to networks. And I thought a great deal about this again recently in our relationships as entrepreneurs and the impact they can have. And as I said last year in a talk about this is the secret sauce. It's the magic ingredient. It's success versus failure. If you don't pay enough attention to your network, your connectivity, your connections, and what they mean and what you invest in them, things are not really going to go beyond a certain point. And even if they do, you're going to suffer massively increased costs because you're constantly replacing or trying to find customers rather than trading again with people that get to know you and want to use you again. So there's a cost to not doing this, as well as a cost in terms of growth. There's a cost in real terms because you're reinvesting all the time in, for example, pay per click, more adverts to find new people. You can generate a massive growth from existing people that have got to know you. So the power of these relationships I wanted to talk about today, and what's involved in them, as well as why they matter. Glenn, of course, focuses on this in his networking magic sessions, which you should definitely watch. He's exhorted us many, many times to keep checking the quality of the relationships we have and whether we can fix them if they're going wrong. And he's talked about that on more than one occasion. And we've talked together before amongst ourselves about putting the effort in to engage with people, really engage with people and make contact with them in a meaningful way. We all discussed, for example, the occasions on which we've had personal experience of winning new business after a positive relationship or contact we created in the office, outside the office, wherever it was. We generated something, and many of us said that had happened to them. We generated a positive contact, positive relationship, and then something came of it. Maybe in some cases, many years later. John had a real example in this group where somebody dialed in after 20 years not seeing you. 20 years. So you never know who you're going to impact or what's going to come of it. Why did they contact us later? Why did they bother? Why did they bother to contact John after 20 years? Well, we're going to explore that now, but this is what it's all about. And John, of course, you will have heard talking about sales being the best paid profession in the world. And Glenn constantly stresses the power of the network. And both of these things are linked to the power of relationships. They both relate to relationships and how you create them and how you manage them and how you nurture them. And that to achieve success, we have to reach out to people and we have to really engage in a meaningful way, as I said previously. So the contrast, the flip side of that coin, of course, is you can engage but not really mean it, have no impact, doing it in a surface way. Don't fall into that trap. We actually have to get through. We've got to reach out, but really want to reach out, not half-heartedly. We want to get through. We want to contact somebody. We want to touch them and connect. We have to really then communicate with our heart and soul. We've got to put something of ourselves into that, because the less we put in of ourselves, the less effective that connection is likely to be. The other person that we're trying to network with and connect to has to really understand and feel that you actually care. They have to feel your presence. They have to feel you there, present in front of them. And of course, if you're going to do that, you've got to mean it. I'm not suggesting anyone shouldn't mean it. We have to really mean it. But to really mean it, we go back to our earlier discussions about connecting properly with our burning desire and following our actual passion. We're more likely to mean it if we're passionate, of course, about what we're doing and we believe in it. So marketing, connections, network creation, this is not just about, in other words, a bunch of formulaic phrases we can trot out in marketing. It's not about empty marketing or meaningless claims or marketing speak where we have these lovely phrases, but we don't really mean them. And that's the case in written, oral, or any other communication. The same rules apply. We've got to be driven by a real humanity, by a real desire to want to connect to those people and to learn about that person, to understand what makes them tick and why we can help them, and then to actually want to serve them. It really is humanity based. We have to be in the mindset that we're human and we mean it. And also, it requires us to listen and to feel. Have you ever caught yourself putting out a load of marketing blurb or having a conversation, but you're not really engaged in it? You're not really listening. You know the result you want and you're just letting them talk and you're still going to do the same thing anyway. We have to listen and we have to feel what's going on, as we do in this group. In this group, why do we feel as we do when we dial in and we see everybody that we know? We exchange with the other members of the group. Why do we feel as we do when we're in the JLSM family? Well, we're together and we're communicating remotely, but it doesn't make any difference because we're really connecting. We're listening to each other, we're helping each other. And I know that everyone dialing into this call actually cares because I know you and I know what makes you tick. And it's the people, it's the relationships, in other words. It's not what I'm saying right now, it's not my words, it's the feeling behind that and the feeling of this connection, this family, which makes this impactful and helps us all. It's the great relationships, in other words, that we created with the people around us in this group and elsewhere that matters. And some of you will talk about this in a minute, I hope, and in terms of your own sales efforts and your own networking and what that's done and how it's worked for you. But we need to take what's in this group and the feelings we get here, and we need to be able to replicate that sort of feeling, that sort of experience and that sort of contact outside the group with customers. If we could create the sort of relationships we have in this group, just imagine what we could do and how powerful our businesses would be and the good it could actually do in the wider world. Just imagine that. So what do we do in the group? What do we actually do? Well, we actually listen and we really share. We share real things, real experiences, private things, successes, and we share failures too. And we reach out when we feel the need to, and we're really genuinely there and telling people things that matter to us. And we share, and then somebody else shares back. So it's all about sharing. And I've said this before, to sell something or to do a deal or to run a successful employee-employer relationship, something has to be shared. If nothing is shared, there is no connection, no meaningful connection. We have to therefore work on our sharing mindset, is the give and the take. We're giving and taking, and somebody else has to do the same for us to meet in the middle and do something. That's crucial. This can't be one-sided. It can't be half-hearted or one-sided and us not investing ourselves in the relationship. When we want to reach out to others, though, when we feel or identify they have a need and we're trying to do something for them or with them, it does require positive thought and effort on our part. It really does. We can't just drift negatively or unconsciously into a discussion or a marketing plan or some PPC or anything else. We've really got to think positively about how we're going to get the most impact in the relationship. It requires, therefore, presence and alertness. We've got to be very present and alert and concentrating on what we're doing. It's not just oh gosh, I've got to do 30 calls today. Well, let's get them done. You've got to mean every one of those 30 calls, even if half of them are a disaster or 90% of them are a disaster. We have to invest ourselves time and time again in the same way in every single call. And that requires the mindfulness I referred to last time we spoke. Being really present in the now in each one of those calls matters. We have to be tuned in. We've got to receive and give. It's the receiver in Napoleon Hill again. We've got to receive the signals coming back, tune ourselves in and react to them if we're going to be effective in the relationship and the network contact we're about to create. And that requires us actually noticing people. Do you feel sometimes you're just not being noticed? They're not seeing you, as in I see you, I really see you, I really notice you. That is important, that you're really trying to see the customer, the contact, the supplier, and really say, yes, I see you, I hear you. We need to know, therefore, the colleagues and customers and how they're feeling. We need to get attuned to how they're feeling and how we're going to develop that skill. Do we all think we're doing that successfully? I'd love to hear from you to what your own experiences have been. Let's hear thoughts on that in a minute on the floor. So how good really are we at it? Do we think it's important? How important do we think it is? Do you think it's going to have an impact on your business, or is this just a load of rubbish? Write your thoughts down, share them in a minute, please. But we all have relationships, or at least we think we do. And sometimes when they're tested, of course, they're not what we think they are. But it's important that we're conscious of these problems in business relationships, not just in our personal lives. We've got to consider and invest all of the things we put in to relationships. We're all the same. We all need respect, understanding, forgiveness, compromise. We all need these things in business too. It's no different. We all need to be heard, to be listened to be understood. Customers are the same. That's why they want to talk to you and have a dialogue with you. They don't want to feel they're not being heard or understood or listened to. That will turn them away. We also need praise and reward. When a good job's been done, we need to praise and reward and thank, both ways, supplier and customer, and business. So do we really think we're treating our contacts, customers and networks properly in this way, or are we sort of neglecting that maybe and not focusing enough on it? Because I can tell you it's the secret sauce. It's your business growth. It's how you're going to scale. It's how you're going to sell your business. Because when you come to sell that business, and I'm on the other side of the table, I'm doing my due diligence. I want to see the strength of your customer base. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm paying you 10 years profit multiplier for. When I pay you a multiplier, it's 10 times, say, the annual profit. Well, that profit is based solely on how much business you're going to do, which of course is based on the strength of your customer base and your repeat business and your customer loyalty and your brand loyalty. This really matters. It is feeding straight back into your business valuation. So are we listening, treating our customers in those ways and hearing them, or are we just putting our point of view across and maintaining it and listening only from our point of view? How much real effort are we putting into this? We've got to keep questioning ourselves on that. We really do. There's another aspect as well to this, not just business valuations. I can talk about valuations all day and multipliers and profit-based adjustments and discounted cash flows or whatever you like, but this is a broader purpose as well. There is a broader purpose in connecting with people and networking. And Bill McDonald last year posted a very interesting article in the Times on engaging in business with faith, a faith-driven entrepreneur, literally. Now, his article, Matt Bird, in the Times, was entitled, "It is time for faith-driven entrepreneurs to emerge." And it was a great and powerful reminder of the qualities we need to be considering when we're in business and the wider reasons we are in business in the first place. And the tide is turning more now in favor of those issues, and people are focusing more on them, on the values behind business. We've got to be conscious of that too if we want to engage effectively with our following, with a tribe. And also, we want to engage in that kind of faith-based business ethos because we really mean it. We want to do good, I hope, in the wider world, not just sell things. So that article really struck a chord. And Matt Bird at the start of it says, and I'll read out what he said, "We need initiatives that can create social glue, capable of bringing the disparate parts of our lonely and isolated society together." That's what he said. He also talked about wealth and the original meaning of wealth being well-being and wellness, which is directly relevant to the business of at least a couple of you I can see on the screen right now. Well-being and wellness directly embedded in the business, but in the broader sense, well-being and wellness is wealth. It's the origin of the word. So we're not just talking about cash, in other words. We're talking about bringing general well-being. He said, yeah, it's not just cash and assets, it's relational capital that exists in our communities, our societies, our families that we're trying to build too. And business can do that. So creating well-being is not just about creating wealth for us. That's it, end of story. He focuses on transforming nations and communities by creating jobs, generating general prosperity, catalyzing human development. That is all part of the agenda. And we get this. It's a double whammy. We get this by creating good networks and developing good businesses too. So there are so many potential meaningful connections we can make in our business and on our personal endeavors. And they are really transformative if we invest in them and we share something of ourselves, create a great network, and we take time not only to listen, but to hear people, to really hear what they need, not just to listen. There's a big difference. So, quick summary, everything is based on relationships. Everything, our whole business is actually based on relationships, whether we like it or not, on what we put into them and on what we get back from those relationships in return. I will be able to value and score your business at the end of this year based on how well you've done in developing that network, managing it, and making it valuable and effective. I can guarantee you that because that's where your business is coming from. So we're looking to create a broad network, but also well-being and wellness for everyone that we deal with. Mother Teresa said, "Spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come to you without leaving happier." And that is absolutely great. So they should come to you and leave your business contact feeling happier about it, feeling pleasantly uplifted by the experience. That is what we should, in my view, be endeavoring to do in business and in networking. And then if we do that, we might start to understand why John says, as I said at the beginning, that sales is the best paid profession in the world, and why Glenn continually stresses the power of networking. That is why. So the ultimate lesson for all of us, in my view, is that, money's okay as a goal. Great, don't knock it. We need it to survive. It makes the world go round. But at the end of the day, it's actually a byproduct of what we do and how well we do it. It's a byproduct. It's a byproduct of the business relationships we formed with everyone in our chain and our sphere, employees, suppliers, customers, contractors, all of them. It's all going to have a networking impact on your business. And people and feelings are what actually generates the money. That's what generates the success. It's the people, it's the feeling, it's the community that generates your outcome. We harvest the profits only if we've planted and tended our relationships correctly. Only then. People and feelings and how we engage generate the wins. They generate those everyday wins that lead up to the overall success for that year. So let's reflect then in everything we're doing on how well we're dealing with other people and how well we're coming across and how well they think we're listening to them and hearing them. So, let's reflect on that. Let's remember to engage with humanity and really want to listen. Let's share and actually mean it. Are we actually listening, or are we hearing? Are we understanding? Are we looking, or are we seeing? Big difference. Those words are crucial. It's interesting to note that many of the business people I've met, or many business people I've met in the past, are more interested in their point of view, their needs and their intentions. They have no regard whatsoever for what the customer is thinking. I've seen it time and time again. How surprising is that? Sounds really silly, doesn't it? But it's amazing how people can get shut in their own sphere and ignore the person on the other side of the table. Stephen Covey said, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Now that is so true. So true. Let's mean it, in other words. Let's actually invest ourselves. We're there to serve a need. And that is a privilege. It's a privilege. So in closing, I wanted to suggest that perhaps at the end of each day, we make mental checks on our relationships and how well they ran. Did I handle them well today in business? Did I disappoint the customer, let them down? Did I reach out if I made a mistake and deal with it? If everything's fine, by the way, reach out anyway on a random basis, spontaneously. Spontaneous client contact, great thing. Check your circle. Who are the contacts in that circle? What am I doing to help them, maintain them, look after them? Value them, because you want to keep them in that circle. That is your business. That magic circle is your business. And if you're rejected, well, you tried your best. You can't please everybody. You'll never please everyone. Go for your dream goal. Go for your offering. Say, that's the way I do it. Some people will like it. Some people will hate it. There's a Venn diagram, and these circles are mutually exclusive. There will be some overlaps, but a lot of people will be out of the circle. Some will be in it. But invest in your circle, because that's the right circle for you. So, of course, I've looked from a business point of view today, and of course, a lot of this extends to our communities and our personal lives. I'm going to leave you with a quote from George Eliot. The growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts. So significant change and achievements are often not based on heroics, as John keeps telling us, but on unhistoric small things that we do every single day. And this is one of them. Just caring enough to look at our contacts. And the small things we do now to tend those gardens of our relationships in business, at home, in the community really matter. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to open the floor in a second. Does any of it strike you at all? Does it strike a chord? Do you think you run good relationships? You've got this button down and sorted? Did you write down any thoughts about how well you contact people, whether you listen to them, or what you actually do to make sure you do that? Can you actually see? Have you seen the impact of that? Can you tell us in the group? Have you seen the impact of doing some of these things through relationship, connecting, caring, and listening? You are a powerful engine of influence in everything you do. You are the engine of influence, particularly in your business. So we've got to make sure that engine is on, started, and running every day, and creating some horsepower. That's what it's all about. So on that note, love to open the floor. I see that Ali has her hand up. Always great to hear from you, Ali.
Hi, Adrian. Oh, yeah, fantastic. Thank you for this. I'm very encouraged that there are far more businesses, I think, out there that have this integrity within them and really wanting to give value to their customers. I'm seeing it more and more with the notes, with just things that come through with Amazon and everything. And it's just the only way to be, isn't it? Really, it's the only way to be. We're integral people, and how important it is. That Stephen Covey quote. I mean, the first time I read that, I became aware of what our conversations with my husband, and I realised that that's just exactly what I was doing. I was waiting to say my point. And I'd made a decision of what I was going to say at the beginning of his sentence instead of just letting him finish and actually listening and hearing. It was absolutely amazing. I think that's such a brilliant observation and really important to do in personal lives and not just in business, obviously. But I was listening to a webinar on marketing, and it was just quite an interesting point. It's perhaps a little bit off topic, but it was just a very interesting point about when you market to people, when in just general in life, people will trust a stranger if they are taking them away from danger or a pain point, but they won't trust a stranger if they're taking them to a pleasure point. And isn't it just, I found that really struck home to me. I thought that's a really clever observation, and so true, that when we're in trouble, if a stranger walks by and offers to help, we're absolutely there and we'll take their help. But if someone's saying, I'm going to give you £1 million or whatever it is, you think, oh yeah, right. So, and how to, therefore, as a business in our marketing, to be aware of that in how we phrase things, because obviously we need to gain trust with our buyers for them to buy whatever we're offering. But and so therefore it's much better to connect with them through their problem rather than saying what a wonderful product you have. But I just thought that was something that struck a chord with me anyway. But thank you, Adrian.
It's great. Those are wonderful, great, and very insightful thoughts. And it is, that's a great observation, which is why I think we talk about solutions and having to envisage the problem that's on someone's desk or on someone's table and what we're going to do about it and how we explain to them, I'm solving a problem for you. That's what we're trying to do. We have to be so clear about what that problem is. Is it time, efficiency, cost? What is it that we're trying to do for them? Is it improving their day, their well-being? What is it we're doing? We're trying to provide a solution. As you say, we tend to be a little bit more suspicious of something for nothing, something that sounds good, too good to be true. Yeah, maybe that's part of it. But that's a fascinating observation, Ali. And I also liked your first two references. We're not a sales engine. Some people can turn themselves into a sales engine and just grind away trying to sell without anything invested in any human feeling at all. And that's not what it's about. It just doesn't work. You've got to really engage them, as a lot of us will already know. And also that goes to the preordained script idea. We can have these scripts, but they're a backup. They're a safety net. They're a sort of I want to try and cover these points, and this is how generally I'm going to put them over. But that is not the be all and end all. We can't just robotically go on a sales script time and time again. We have to react to what's happening and feel it and adjust. And you're absolutely right about that. We can't just grind on and not listen. I agree with you. Thanks, Ali. That was very insightful. Virginia has a hand up. Hi, Virginia.
Good morning, America, the rest of the world. I want to say Vietnam, but it's a tribute to but anyway, I put something in the chat, and this is a brilliant topic, and it really helps me, round out everything. We do have it so much easier to stay in touch with people now, because I think the dread, a lot of the hesitation sometimes is that phone call. If you're on a phone call, it can last forever. But we can stay in touch now with a chat, an instant message, just to reach out to them, to let them know that we actually are thinking about them. And, I've been thinking about one of my girlfriends who's in a memory care unit for a couple months now, and I really need to call her. So that's another thing. If you look at the JLSM site and you go to recordings, for those who maybe either weren't a member yet, or those of us who were but we don't remember, if you scroll down to special events, the very first special event that happened August of 2020 was relationship marketing with Christian Honeck.
Honecker, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Thank you. And he talked about, he used a customer relation management software system where he put his notes in. And I have found one that I use that's free that I love too. Besides, I put notes in my phone. One thing that used to really bother me is you would get to know somebody and you're talking to them, and then you think, and it gets embarrassing because you're at the point where, okay, I know that you have kids, and I know that you're married or you're not married, but you know what? I've been talking to you for months now, and I really don't know even the names of your kids or how old they are, or, or other things about people. Then, and I used to have that with my, some of my clients, that in my nursing relationships, I'm like, do they have 4 daughters or 5 daughters? What are their names? We talk about it, but unless you write it down, our brains are just not meant to store all that trivial stuff. So I've learned of how to do that, and that's helped a lot. And yeah, I just find it so valuable. I used to be the person that would think, well, you should know I'm thinking about you. Just because I haven't talked to you for a while doesn't mean I'm not thinking about you. And how come you're not my best friend? Well, because we haven't talked in forever. So Glenn's sessions hit home, and everything you're saying, just got to just put in a little bit of time and get to know people and let them know that you care. And whether it's regarding business or just regarding us other personal things, it all does pay back in wonders. And I love the quote about Mother Teresa: spread love everywhere you go and everyone should leave you. Did you say feeling better? Or yeah, that's true. So thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent
Yeah,
topic.
that's great. I mean, some people actually feel bad about using CRM, customer relationship management systems, because they feel sort of embarrassed that they're almost making notes for business, but it's not like that. Unless we've got incredible memories, the more we're dealing with hundreds of people, we're not going to remember everything. And we're trying to use it as an aid, not because we don't mean it and we're just coming out with some script. We actually want to remember these things so we can have a proper conversation, and because we care enough to write it down. Writing it down is a sign of caring, because if you don't bother, you don't write it down. You're not bothered. So we're actually showing, yes, we've taken the trouble, haven't we?
I was on a call with Sonia Turingia, in Canada one day. We were doing a Zoom, and I'm writing stuff down, and she finally says, "What are you writing down?" I said, "The stuff you're telling me about yourself, or else I won't remember it."
Yeah,
I remember what your job is. You said you do it, and then and the writing it helps you remember it as well. I used to be a cruise travel agent from the mid 90s to 2001. And I had so many great customers worldwide. I remember one customer. I also focused on what we called the interline department, which was you got a special cruise discount if you were like an airline employee or something like that, or military. And I remember one guy calling me, and he cruise maybe once or twice a week. And I was like right away, "Oh, hi, so-and-so, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah." He goes, "Virginia, you always make me feel like I'm the only customer you have." And but I remembered him. He cruises with me, and, I just do this stuff, and I kind of know he's got a girlfriend. I kind of know what they like. And, it was a pleasure. So it doesn't take a lot just to remember a few things and make people feel like they're the only person you know.
Absolutely. But we really mean it. If we're engaged and we believe in what we're selling and we love what we're doing, we really mean it. First thing I would do when I started up my first little business, every morning, first thing I would go through all the newspaper cuttings for that day to see if there was any news item that might affect one of the clients, and I'd send it to them. And then they know you're actually on the lookout. They're, in a more cynical way, it actually reminds them you're there, which we also have to do. We should not be arrogant enough to believe we're the only people out there selling stuff. You want them to remember you for that solution or that product and say, yes, hang on. Oh, yes, who am I going to ring? I'm going to ring Ingrid. Yeah, I remember. Because we can get forgotten. We're in a sea of competing attentions every day, and news feeds and PPCs and heaven knows what else popping up on YouTube. So we've got to remind people we're there too. That's the other side of this. As well as Virginia says, just making them feel that we actually care, that that they're special, that we care, that we're engaged. We got Ingrid's dog on the screen there. Lovely to see. So thank you, Virginia. That is wonderful and yeah, very helpful. So CRM systems to back you up in your network creation efforts are a great tool. And any of the, I think it's Cardone that John's talked about as well, who has some staggering numbers of thousands of people in his index. They keep the information. And then when they've got a problem, they can contact that person again. So it is extremely helpful to have these backups. Anyway, Missy has her hand up. Missy, great to see you.
You see who I'm with?
Yeah, I can see there. We've got the minister. For anyone that doesn't know the
Just for
program,
you.
this is the English program, Yes Minister, and that is the minister in this wonderful civil service government comedy show, which takes us through how the minister is controlled by the civil service effectively. It's very, very funny and well worth watching if anyone can find it.
Funniest show ever. So I'm probably the newest entrepreneur in this group, only started back in July with an Etsy store. And I discovered that I have a great rapport with my customers because I don't feel like I'm going out of my way, but they seem to think I am. I keep, I thank them. And now I've had people come to me with serious medical issues, very serious. One girl with what was diagnosed with breast cancer after she bought my mug. And I just happened to have a sister-in-law. My sister's a nurse, and her sister, she's got two sisters-in-laws. One had lymph nodes removed and did not take the advice, and now she's got a giant arm for the rest of her life. And her girlfriend, they had a special surgeon standing by. So I tried to tell her this, but it wasn't clear. So through my sister, I copied the actual doctor's name. She lives in another state. I said, call this doctor. I got his whole website copied in the Etsy thing because I don't know their emails. They don't show you the emails. And I said, call this doctor. He's a specialist. Maybe you know somebody in your area. And the gratitude, and the things they write to me are wonderful, but I don't know how to begin making this, these people aren't going to buy any more mugs. I don't know how to go about making a list of this. And I'm sure I'm going to learn as I stay on here, but at least I have a knack for it. And my reviews, every single review is 5 stars and about how great the customer service is. And that's the most important. I'm in a fight right now with Gear Bubble that you can't believe. It's like epic. It's like, which you probably never even heard of, but it's been going on since December. They will not give the customer his mug. And they've got all these reasons. And the other day I told the guy, you are the scum on the bottom of this man's shoe. So I don't care because he's just rotten. He doesn't give a damn. The man is just off a ventilator. He just wanted this little mug for his wife. And they sent him a broken one, then the wrong one. I've been fighting with him since December. And I really don't know what else to do other than to drive to his house in Vegas and beat the living daylights out of him because he just won't do it. He just won't do it. And I can't trust that. They want me to spend the money. I said, I've already spent the money. So it's really, but anyway, I think it's a very important topic, especially for me as I'm just beginning. And I thank you so much for all the insight. And some places I have to work harder, but some places I'm pretty good.
Well, Missy, I'm sure you are. And from what you've told us, you're investing a lot of yourself in the process, which is what I'm telling you, you have to do, because it's the difference between being really there in business and just being half-hearted, not getting very far. But you've touched on a whole other dimension, and that's taking it to the next level and people then beginning to follow you because of what you're doing and what you stand for, rather than just one product. If you want to have life in a business and cycles, you've got to be able to come back with something else and sell them something else. And that's when you start to build a following based on what you stand for and principles and ideas. And that is what Apple did. And that is why somebody would camp out for a week around the pavement just to get the product, because they so strongly identified with what Apple was doing and what they stood for. They wanted to be seen with that product, and they wanted to be first movers with the product. That's how powerful it can become. So what you're actually doing is not wasted, because you're building a lovely community and contacts and experience, and you can use that now when you scale up onto something else. I can guarantee you that this is not wasted. You are building an identity, and the fact that you are principled, that you'll look after them and help them, will be noticed. And they will come back to you, because when they want something, they'll come back. So they'll remember you. You'll stand out. It's about standing out. Just imagine how many million people are trying to sell stuff. You have to stand out and be memorable enough that they care enough to come back. And that is where we start to scale and make profits. If we're talking from a purely entrepreneurial point of view today, and where we don't then get the dead cost of having to sell to another load of customers all over again. So we've got to pay for all those adverts all over again just to make a sale. We're going to make sales automatically and organically because they stick with us. So you've touched on that dimension as well, Missy, and I can tell you what you're doing is the right thing and it's going to work. I can guarantee you it'll work. So think of another product and take them with you. Take all these people with you. Yeah, that's great. So all very insightful comments today. I'm very pleased to hear those. Anyone else have anything to add? I know that Ingrid's created brilliant networking. She's done a great job on it and is building a great group doing exactly that. And I think you've had a lot of success with that, Ingrid, from what I'm hearing. So good on you.
Hi there.
Hi, you know how much this matters, Ingrid.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And have you seen results and real impact from doing certain things? Have certain things been more?
Sorry, let me get my volume up because either I'm
Yeah.
going deaf or wait a minute.
I can hear you really well, but yeah.
Okay, so oh no, that's me. Okay, so what did you say?
I was saying, you know, are there particular things you think have worked better than others that you've seen really direct results from, just the way you've behaved in your networks and how you've created them and how you've created the contact? Have you seen that already, or any tips for everybody?
So I'm not very good at, like, I can't sell if I don't like the thing. Like, it doesn't work. It could be, if it doesn't turn me on, it could be the world's most amazing thing. And I don't care, so you're not going to care. So that's, I guess, for me, the biggest thing. The things I do well with are Beamer and horses. The rest I really don't give a shit about. And you can smell that. So I think you need to really love what you're promoting. And I think you're genuine then, and you are helping people with a problem. Usually they need a horse, or they need some help, or they need some money, or whatever it is, but you need to help them with their problem. And then you need to not be too, you need to totally not be, I think John talks about this a lot. You can't be attached to the outcome, because everyone does their thing in their own way, in their own time, and you're just the conduit, you're just the medium for showing people something about something. And I hate being pressured, and I would never want to pressure anyone. And if I ever did, I would like hope that they would point it out to me. So I don't know. It's kind of, I think by just being genuine and liking your stuff and then being interested in people, because we're all people at the end of the day. That's it. And I don't have, I think importantly as well, I don't have a goal of being a certain heir, like a billionaire, a millionaire, or any of those things. I have goals that I want. I want violin. Now my next one is a house and land and whatever it is. So I don't really, I think that makes a difference for me anyway, because I've never been actually able to grab onto the idea of making X amount of dollars per month, week, day, year. I don't care. Like, but I want to have the things that I want to have. I want to do the things I want to do. And so I maybe look at it differently. I don't know, but it works for me.
Oh, it's very interesting, Ingrid. Gosh, you've opened up a whole can of worms there. I'm not sure if anyone else is going to pile in, but
oh, sorry.
No, you've done a good thing in a good way, because I think this is really the elephant in the room. Often we talk about our targets and we're pushed to set these dreams, and some of the books and the videos will say stick a figure on the ceiling, write numbers on the wall, or whatever it is. Well, that's what I was alluding to earlier in the talk when I said it's not just about the cash, it's about the more general good and the more general meaning of it all. Because I think if we just fix on the figures, it is meaningless. And if we're not careful, we will then just drive sales for the sake of it, like the sales engine we referred to earlier, an alley and having a script and, you know, just being a grinding machine. It's not about that. And as you say, Ingrid, you've got to really believe what you're doing. That, I think without that, I couldn't do it either. You've got to be passionate about it enough to want to make all these contacts and explain your solutions to people and really believe it is a solution. There's nothing worse than, imagine making calls where you don't really believe it's a solution. You're trying to convince them it is. That's just terrible. Meaningless, empty, actually would affect, I think, long-term our well-being, our own well-being, just feeling bad about what we've done. You know, that's not the way to be. We want to be fully aligned with the client, giving them value. As you say, it's about solutions, again, solving problems, and caring enough to do that. And being interested in people. Yes, you've got to be interested, as I say, in the person on the other side of the call, the other side of the table, wherever they are. You've got to be interested. You've got to care enough. Agree with
If
all
I
those
could
things.
just add one thing,
Yeah.
you're making me think, Adrian. So quite a lot of times I'd say, you know how in sales they're telling us, oh, you have to do X amount of touches or whatever they call them before, blah, 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 whatever. It's not true to me. It happens when it happens. Sometimes people are more ready than you are, kind of thing. But even if their thing that they contacted you for, they decide that they are not interested or whatever, it's not the time or whatever, just by having made the human connection, you might end up with some good buddies. You might have fun with them, have some laughs. That's always good. And weirdly, they might come back to you in 3 years when you've totally forgotten about, well, how you even met. And that's good, I think.
I agree, and this is what I was saying about trying to keep contact. You've got to not only create this network in the first place, but nurture it. So we've just had the reference from Virginia to the customer relationship management system and software. You need that as well. You need to keep nurturing and contacting and not losing, because people drift off inevitably after a while with no contact. They'll forget, and you'll forget. So you have to keep the network alive and meaningful and invest in it. Yes. And they can come back years later. I gave you the example. In John's case, it was 20 years, I think. One of the callers called in saying he hadn't spoken to John, but he remembered him from particular seminars, which was so impactful, he'd never forgotten him. So we can have that impact on people. But generally, we need a bit of help. You know, we do need to, you've now got incredible facilities. Imagine how difficult this was to do before the mass systems and software and the internet and social media. It was very difficult. Now we've got free access to mass communication networks where we can post things, try and put out interesting feelers for people, give them little snippets here and there. We can do it. It's so easy. There's no excuse now not to do it, but it does require effort and discipline. And to get that effort and discipline, we have to understand why this matters and keep it on our agenda every single day. Not a day should go by when you don't say, today I'm going to do at least one bit of proper marketing. One every day, and then it will build. A wave will then build. You can't just do this occasionally and think, oh yeah, hey, yes, I haven't thought about this for a while. It's got to be sort of on that front radar. I'm going to do this every single day. If I want to move my network and therefore my business forward, I better do one serious bit of marketing at least every day. Now that might be a group contact or a very specific targeted contact, but do something. Do something. Once you get into it, it just comes naturally. You won't forget. It's like taking your vitamins or your supplements in the morning. You'll just remember to do it. And
it's creating the habit, right?
Yeah, it's habit. It's habit again. I've talked about habit before. I think the statistic we were given was that it takes 30 days to create a habit. So you've got to do it for 30 days straight. And then your mind will just kick in and you'll do it. And you'll be thinking, hey, why haven't I done my marketing? But this is so crucial, which is why I wanted to talk about this as the third element in the recent line of discussions. Creating these networks, which means selling yourself, which means contacting people, requires a daily thought and effort. You have to do it. But you're going to really see dividends if you do this. I can guarantee that. Even if you don't know immediately that you've been noticed, you will have been, and you'll find out later what the results really were. You won't see it straight away. Don't get disheartened. You won't necessarily get 100 people phoning you, rushing in with emails straight away, but somebody will have seen it. And if you do it enough, gradually this organic wave builds up. That's how it works. So great, Ingrid, great tips and thoughts. And I know you're on the sharp end doing it. You've been brave enough to take the no's and the knocks and get out there and try and sell something. And that takes a bit of courage too sometimes. As you say, don't worry about the end result and the fact some of them are not going to work. Just go for it. You've got to give it your all. Anyway, anyone, any other thoughts? If not, we can wrap up the session, but great contributions today. Housekeeping wise, if no one else is going to come out on the floor, Ivier speaking in a while, 5 p.m. Eastern Time US, which is 10 p.m. in the UK, on her great session, Corporate Curios, corporate relationships management, personal relationships, business problems, you name it. She gives great insights and, as you all know, is a great speaker. So join UVA if you can, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, US. So without further ado, I will sign off, but just wanted to remind you again, you are a powerful engine of influence. That's exactly what you are. And as the entrepreneur, you are the engine of influence in your business, in everything you do with it. So don't forget that. The two are directly joined. You are joined to the wheels of your business. Your engine is coupled to those wheels. You make it roll. That's what you have to do. So thanks very, very much for those great comments, everyone's great participation. Hope to see you all later. Thanks again. And I'm signing off for today. John Lavinia's Success Mastermind. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, Adrian.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.